Hello everyone, my name is Steve. I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. In this session, what we're going to be doing is something a little bit different here. You see I have a Commodore 64 computer here in front of me. This is actually an older unit I have, and what I wanted to do is explain some of the problems I'm having with my current unit and what I kind of did with this one. If you look at this one, you can see this one is badly damaged. When I bought it off eBay many years ago, it was already kind of cracked, and now it's kind of basically falling apart. So my goal here, and I'm going to switch this camera over here a little bit, is to first of all show you some of the things you can do with your Commodore. If you have like an older Commodore, for example, what you can do in here is you can go ahead and you can disassemble them. And what I did is I swapped out the keyboard for the old unit for the new one here. So it's at the bottom of the keyboard, there's actually, you can see there's a screw there attached. There's 3 screws attached to the actual base of the Commodore, so you can just go ahead, and this one's actually missing one. Must have fell out somewhere. There it is on the floor. There's a third one here, so the center one was already missing, and then there's another one right here in the end. It's supposed to be a magnetic screwdriver. There it goes. And then you'll see now that all 3 screws are out of there, you can go ahead and what I do is I flip it over like this to show you. And then what you want to do is you want to kind of grab it from the back here. It might stick the first time. Mine's not going to stick because I've actually already done mine a few times. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of lift it up gently, because what's going to be already happening here is you see there, the keyboard's already attached to the computer. So the next thing to do is just kind of disconnect the computer. You'll see this little protective layer here, and you'll notice that this part of the keyboard here, which I think is the LED light, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit to show you. There's actually a connector here on the end that I'm taking out right now, if you can see that. And then you just kind of just grab it and just wiggle it a little bit and pull it, and that's what it looks like. This is a little red connector there. The important thing is to make sure you put it back on right when you're done. I was just kind of memorize where I took it off at. So, anyways, so the next thing here is the keyboard plug, which you'll see over here on the side. This is where it's plugged into the actual console. Now this one, you just kind of grab it and you wiggle it the same way so you don't break the pins, because it's attached to pins. So I just go a little bit like that, and it kind of pulls off there. Now you've got the keyboard totally disconnected, and I can just set that to the side or something like that. And now we're going to expose the motherboard. Now this one's already got a piece of plastic attached to it, so I'm going to probably just have to lean this one back. I don't think I can pull this one out of here. I think this like somebody probably bolted this down here. But anyways, I'll show you what's going on here. Now, these in the corner here, these are some of your chips that are actually attached to the computer. I believe these are the CIA chips right here. And they might even say on them. I have a diagram over here. And then you got the character chip and then some of the other chips here. Now on my unit, what's going on, I'm going to move in here a little bit more, is I noticed on my Commodore, it's getting very hot on the back right here, on the very back here, which if you look right here is closer to these center chips right here. So my problem might be in one of these chips, which is, I can't see what these say on them, but there's a diagram I have on my computer here, but it tells which chips. It's probably one of these. It's either one of these 3, or it could be the RAM chips. These smaller chips down here, these are the RAM chips. And I watched a video on YouTube where a guy was talking about it, and he says you can have some problems, and sometimes you'll need to swap out some of these chips because they can just go bad, basically. But he also showed how you could actually move the PLA and stuff like that. Of course, the PLA requires some kind of, electronics, soldering and stuff like that. I think the PLA in this one might be, you might be able to just pull it out. And let me pause this for a second because I forgot to grab my screwdriver, so I don't waste some time here. Okay, so I'm back. So what I went is I got a flathead screwdriver, just to kind of show you what you can do is you go to the chips like this, if you can see this, and if you want to get them out, you have to kind of stick them under the centers. I don't know if I can get to this one or not. This might be easier to get around here. There's like there's a little gap in the side here. You kind of move it up. So it might not be the right size screwdriver, but you basically you lift them up, you get it in there. I'm going to need a flatter one than this one. This one's too big. Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. On the safe side, I actually ended up grabbing a couple of different screwdrivers here. This is one that probably work. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a really flat head. And it's a very fine head. So what you do is you have to go right underneath the chip here. This is going to be very hard to show you, but if you look at the chip right here, you can see that right there. Let's see if I touch it, see where it is right there. Underneath here, there's like a little open area, and you want to stick the screwdriver right underneath there to pop it open. It's really tricky too. You'll see it kind of moving up there. Let's see the right video to really show you, but you can start to see how the chip is up now. So I got it up, and you just basically just kind of wiggle it a little bit, or you can grab the other side, and then there's the chip. The chip is now out. So if this is the problem chip, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and replace them, and then you just basically insert them back in the socket so when you're done and stuff like that. So this isn't the problem computer, but I just wanted to show you that that's basically what I'll need to do. Is just remove those chips. Essentially, there's also some chips in here too. I don't know if I can get to these. These ones aren't really giving me the problem. Oh, I think these are already fastened on there somehow. Let's see. There's a little thing underneath here too. Yeah, I'm probably not going to mess with these, but there are some chips in here. You have to get these tops off of here. I don't know if I have the right tool for that. Got to bend them back to get them off, basically. But, anyways, I just wanted to show you that short video clip here. And some of the other and some of the other things they say you want to check too is you want to check the battery. Please, the battery right here. The fuse. I'm sorry, the fuse. So right here, you want to replace the fuse. Probably the first thing they say you want to do is replace the fuse to make sure that that's not the problem. Other than that, if you're not seeing any video, that might be some of the problems you're having. If it's getting hot, you want to check the RAM chips. I'm trying to remember what else he said in that video. He showed how to replace like the RAM, not the RAM, but the Jiffy DOS in the computer and stuff like that. You could replace it to have a faster booting system. And really, I mean, everything else is electronics related, unless you're going to be doing a lot of soldering and stuff like that. You're not going to be messing with, you know, any of these other devices. The main thing is mostly is the replacement of the chips. These computers back in the days were so easily where you could easily just pull the chips out, you know, and easily swap them out. And that's how easy it was to fix stuff like that. So, trying to see if there was anything else I missed. Essentially, that would be it for the Commodore part. Now, the keyboard itself is a little bit more different. You actually have to end up popping all these keys out. I don't think there's any way. Oh, you can actually disassemble it right here, too. Maybe I'll pause the video and see if I can get this off here. So waste some time here. Okay, so what I've done here now is I've actually detached the keyboard from the console unit here. Now, I'm not going to go into this, but if you need to get to the actual keys, you have to remove all of these little tiny screws, and that takes a very long time. Just to show somebody who doesn't know, you're basically just going in and you're removing, I don't know, it's like 20 or 30 different screws there. And then, of course, after that, once you do that, you'll be able to slip this panel out, and you'll have access to the keyboard, where you can basically go in and you can clean it and stuff like that. I think that saves from having to pop it all out. Now, mine are actually missing some keys already. And this is my older Commodore unit, for those who are just watching. Essentially, that's pretty much all you can do with the keyboard. I don't think there's anything else other than cleaning it. And they say you can use some in the soprano, and that'll allow you to go ahead and, you know, establish a really clean, make the keys easier to use and stuff like that. So I'm going to probably switch over here to my console unit for a second. Okay guys, so I switched over here to my Commodore 64 unit to explain some of the problems I'm having with this. As we talked about, you know, the video chips, the big chip and stuff like that, or the RAM chips that might be giving the problem. Now I just booted this thing up for the first time today, so it's still very, it's still not very hot on the back of the chips. It's actually still very cool back here when I feel it. But you can test it by feeling the back and seeing if anything starts getting hotter, so it shouldn't really be getting that hotter. And if you're an electrician, in electronics, you can use a multimeter to, you know, measure the voltage and stuff like that, which I do not have the money for right now. I can probably get a cheap one. I know they sell cheap ones, but my whole idea is not to start building computers, but just to kind of figure out some of the problems I'm having. So what I wanted to show you this for a reason is there's certain programs I have on this computer that the graphics are not loading for some reason. Now this is a third-party program. It's a game I typed in many years ago from, I think it was a Compute magazine. It's called Stronghold. And for some reason, the graphics are never showing up on the screen. It's missing some of the graphics, so I think either it's a display issue, because I'm running this on a 37-inch LCD, or it could have something to do with, you know, the chips itself. So to test this, I actually recently ordered a monitor on eBay, so I'm going to see how that goes and see if that changes any of the graphics. See if I notice I'm still having the same problems with it, then we know that there's an issue going on with the chipset itself. And then I'll probably have to go order some cheap Commodore 64 computers on eBay, because a lot of times people will throw them up there, and you know they'll sell them on eBay really cheap because they don't know how to fix them and stuff like that, and they'll just say for used parts or whatever. You can get them sometimes for about 30 bucks. So, anyways, let's run this. I guess I can switch over to the screen a little bit here, and just to kind of show it to you. I was trying to get everything in one picture so I could show you the keyboard, you know, what's going on with the computer. Now, in this game right now, it's supposed to be surrounded by, and I'll show you why. It's surrounded by a giant wall here. So if I move this ship up, you see the ship moving up there, and I move over here, he'll explode because there's an invisible wall there. Normally, there's supposed to be a wall that's showing up, but for some reason, it's just not showing up in this part, you know, this computer. I tested it on both boards, and it's doing the same on both, so it might be a display issue. I've also changed the settings. You know, I've gone in and adjusted the menu settings, the lighting, you know, all the contrast and stuff like that. And it's still, even if I go all the way to bright like that, nothing ever shows. So that's kind of a mystery for me right now. Figuring out, maybe it has something to do with the chips or something. And I'll show you another program here. I don't know if I can get out of this one or not. Oops, turn off the menu there. I'm going to start this over again. The other one's called Royal Rescue. It's like one of these adventure type games. And you'll notice as soon as this one loads back up, once I get it running here, that there's obviously an issue going on with this one too. Weird, I got really dark there suddenly. The camera's like acts really weird on the display and stuff. Can't figure out the lighting on this thing. But anyways, it's probably something to do with the screen. When I run this, it should come back on. Now, there's walls over here. There's a ladder here, and I cannot see anything. Okay, guys, I'm back. I think my camera just shut off. I just was recording a video, and I noticed it started me over here again. So I don't know how far I got in that one, but I'm going to kind of show you what I was doing this one. I was running this game to kind of show you earlier that there's visible displays over here for some reason. They're not supposed to be invisible, but let me see if I can find it right here again. Right there. There's supposed to be a ladder there, but it's not appearing. And you notice that there's other things up there. There's actually levels up there and stuff like that. None of that is appearing. So I think it might have something to do with the VIC chip, or, you know, the video chip in the computer. Because what I was trying to mention earlier, whoops, is that at the back of this Commodore 64, this is where your CIA chips and your video chips and, you know, SID is all located. It starts getting really hot here. If I leave it on after a while, I can start feel it right here. It starts getting very, very super hot back there. So I think it might have something to do with the display or something. I really couldn't think of what else it could do, because all the other games, like the regular, this is a third-party game from Compute magazine, but all the other games, they run really good. You know, like, for example, Dragon's Lair runs really good, Test Drive runs really good, you know, Skate or Die. All the other ones are totally fine. So I really don't know what's causing the issue. It's just more of an investigation. And I was mentioning this earlier, but the video cut out. So I also swapped the keyboard from the other one to this one. I took out some of the keyboard. Okay, so hi guys, I'm back. Got a really weird display here. The lighting is really weird on this side of the room. It's like, I don't know, it's like if I move the TV, stuff like that, I get different lighting. But anyways, what I wanted to show you is, as an example, you can see up here on the screen, the game Skate or Die. There's actually, and I'm going to move the computer up here so you can kind of hopefully see a little bit better there. It'll get a little bit darker, but you can see the graphics are showing up and everything is displaying correctly. I don't see any flaws when I run the regular third-party games to play the games and stuff like that. It's a fun game anyway. And he just makes messages. But anyways, what I wanted to really show you is, as I mentioned earlier, the Commodore computer here is starting to get very hot here on the back of the unit. I can start feeling the heat right there. It's not as bad as it was, but after a while it'll start getting really super hot right there. Especially right here. This seems to be the... Man, this lighting is terrible. I might have to move this up again, I guess. Just move it down there. So this part right here in the section, which I mentioned, I think this was where the CAA chips were. I brought my board over just to kind of compare it here to see where they're at here. So we can take a look here and we can see, well, we can't see it till we can get some adjustment on this. We can see anyways, the chips right here, the CAA chips. So I said it's getting hot right around in this area. So it might have something to do with this chip I removed or these other ones here. Or it could be something to do with the RAM chips. I noticed it doesn't usually get hot, but right in the center here is where it's actually getting hot. So it's probably something to do with one of these chips. Like so if I get a multimeter or something, I could start testing it more. But I don't know if that's causing the graphics display issue I'm having or not. But I just wanted to show you guys that as an example. I can run the game with no problems here. So this game, you just go basically here, go practice. And then you can move this guy around on a little board there. I'm probably going to make a video later too on another note to really show you some of the games I have, and I noticed there's a lot of them on YouTube already, but I ordered a monitor recently, as I think I mentioned earlier, the 1702 Commodore monitor, so should get some pretty fun stuff there. It goes right back there if you go back in there again. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to show you in this video, just to kind of, you know, see if you guys, maybe somebody can, I like this Joust one. Maybe somebody can come up with the idea or a thought that there might be something that's causing the issue, because I don't really know what's causing the problem from everything I've diagnosed on the computer. I need to get some other Commodore 64s and start swapping out some chips. I probably mentioned this earlier, but you can get them on eBay for about $30. They run as cheap as that. These are computers that people don't know what's wrong with them, and they just sell them for parts, basically. And a lot of times, what's really cool about that is a lot of the chipsets are still good that you can use in the actual computers. And even the keyboards are good. So, I mean, the parts alone are still worth more than the price that they're selling them for. So it's a really good deal. You want to kind of look for that kind of stuff. I don't really know much about disk drives, but just from the computer part, you know, you can get some pretty good deals that way. And it's just more about not being afraid to take your computer apart and, you know, poking around with it and understanding how to swap chips out and stuff that's not very complicated, actually. So, anyways, I wanted to show you the game here a little bit. Maybe we'll just end the video on the game. This is really a cool game. But you can still see the graphics are all displaying. So let me figure out how to play this game. What it is the other joystick. There's two joysticks in this one. This is like a two-player mode. Oh, you gotta hit the button. That's what it is. I don't even know. So, I just got wiped out there. You can hear the sound is going too. So we know it's nothing to do with the sound chip or anything like that. It's always lopsided. I have no idea why. But the graphics, everything is displaying correctly in the game, so I know there's no issues with it. So that's pretty much all I was going to show you for this video. This is such a fun game. I'm going to move that here. And yeah, I hope you guys learned something from this video. And as we talked about, you know, basically going into your computer here and being able to, you know, understand the computer, understand the architecture or the logic board in general. And then getting a good schematic is really good too, so you can really kind of learn your way around in a computer. I found one here on eBay recently, and it kind of shows some of the chips. And I could probably, I'm just going to pause it here a second. Okay, so what I was basically doing here is I was pulling up the Google image of the schematic on the computer here. You won't be able to see it because it's not on the Commodore computer. It's just on the PC computer here in the back. And what I really wanted to show you was how, basically understanding how the board works is I look at here, I can see that these are actually these are the CIA chips. There's a 6526. There's a CIA number 1, and number 2 if I'm pointing at them right. And then this is the basic, so this is actually the basic one. In the old days they have the cartridge, but later they replaced it with the chip. The one I removed was actually the kernel. I was kind of curious on what that was. The one beside it is the character. The one on the end there, I think that's the PLA. And then there's an this one says MPU. It's a multiprocessor. And then these, of course, are all the RAM chips on the bottom here. I'm trying to watch the computer as I'm doing this. And there's all the PLA chips in the SID. They're down here, actually. I think this one is showing as... Oh, no, they're sideways. In this diagram, they have them on the bottom, but they're actually side by side here. I might be wrong on that, but... So 6581. So if I look over there, 6581, that's the SID chip right there. So I don't know if you can see it. That's the actual music chip right there. And the numbers tell you something about them. And that one doesn't have a number on it. 6510. And that one, that's the MPU right there. I was trying to figure out where the PLA chip is. It says 820, 825 or something like that. 825. It's so hard trying to see this backward and trying to show you guys it at the same time. But anyways, you get an idea here. I'll switch over to the computer display just to show you what I was looking at earlier. You can kind of see the board there up close a little bit better. You see the chips a little bit better there. And this camera's pretty good. See some of the chips I was looking at over there earlier. So I'm going to pause this again and we'll cut out and I'll end it on that note. Well, it's going to have kind of a funny display unless I'm doing a screen capture. You're going to see, but you can see these were the chips I was talking about earlier. This right here, the point right here. This is the CIA chip right here, 1. This is CIA number 2. This is the basic chip. This is the kernel. This is the character chip. This one, I don't know what that one is. This is the MPU. This is the PLA chip right here. And this is the SID or the music chip. And these are all the RAM chips right here in a row. So I said my problem is happening right in there somewhere. So I'm thinking it has something to either do with... the basic's working fine, so I don't think it's the basic. But I have a feeling it's probably that kernel. I didn't look up and see what the kernel controls, but it might have something to do with the displays. There's also a character, so that one's interesting. But we still get good displays on the regular games and stuff like that. So anyways, I just thought I would share. Oh, and this part I didn't mention earlier. The VIC chip was actually hidden in that background. That was hidden underneath the board. Let me just show you real quick here again with the board. So this part right here, this is where the VIC chip is actually stored at. So once we're going to pop that off, we can get access to the VIC chip. But it's not getting hot in that area, so I'm not sure if it is the VIC chip, even though I mentioned the VIC chip. But anyways, if you guys have any solutions or any thoughts about it, just go ahead and post your comments. And finally, I'm going to end this note and thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe this YouTube channel, and I'll have more videos to come. So this is Steve Morrow, signing off.